lifestyle. Now, here are your hosts, Charnel Moore and Christina Dennis.
Hey guys, happy Friday and welcome to Be More Lifestyle. We hope you had a happy and meaningful Thanksgiving. And we have a packed show today, so we're gonna get right into it.
Yes, we are. We're starting off with some wisdom for expecting moms.
Yes, deep.
It is. The loss of an infant is never easy, especially when a mother believes the hospital is at fault.
Yeah, Lianne Totty is the author of Baby Went to Heaven. She's with us today to share her powerful story. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We really
You're welcome.
appreciate
I'm glad I can be here.
Yeah, so let's talk about the inspiration. What inspired you to write this book?
Okay, so yes, I lost my baby.
Sorry.
Yes, after going through infertility and all of that, I was pregnant. I delivered him early at 27 weeks, and he actually lived in the hospital neonatal intensive care unit for about 6 months. And then, you know, due to some complications, including pneumonia, he passed away. And when we went home, my goddaughter, you know, she was there throughout everything, and she was expecting us to come home with a baby. And when I didn't, you know, she was like, "Where's the baby?" And I can just see the look on her mom's face, like, "Why are you asking her about that?" You know, it was just hard for us to explain to her that the baby didn't make it. So I wrote this book in the hopes that it would help, you know, another mom who's going through something similar. You know, 1 in 4 women, you know, suffer miscarriages, stillbirth. You know, I was hoping that the book can help them explain, you know, what happened, why the baby isn't home with them.
That's a great resource to have for a lot of people who, like you mentioned, it's such a common thing to happen, and a lot of people are dealing with this as well. And we talk about this sometimes, how African Americans there's a particular stigma around mental health. What have you discovered in, you know, writing this book and in your experiences?
Well, I've discovered that, in particular, African Americans, we don't talk too much about mental health. You know, there is that stigma about it. If you try to say that, you know, you're not feeling well, something isn't right, they say, "Oh, she's crazy, don't listen to her," you know. There's that negative outlook or experience that some people give to Africa, you know, that African American women go through.
Right.
What I've discovered is that, you know, you need to seek help for yourself. Something isn't right. I mean, after I lost my baby, Lianne, like, I honestly was suicidal. I wanted to kill myself, but I didn't feel like I can talk to anyone about it, you know. I felt like this was something that I had to go through in private. But you don't. You do not have to go through that in private. You can talk to someone. You know, if it's a mental health professional, you need to find someone that clicks with you so that when you talk to them, you know, they give you whatever feedback you're hoping for. Just go ahead and find that help. You do not have to suffer through this by yourself.
Well, I know a lot of people are going to be touched by your book, and you have some thoughts about expecting mothers regarding the healthcare system. Let's get into details about that.
I do. I really believe that as an expecting mother, you know, you need to know what is happening with your healthcare. You know, when you go to your appointments, you need to go there armed, you know, with your questions. You need to ask your questions, you know. Usually the visits are routine. They're about 15 minutes. The doctor comes in, they listen to the baby's heartbeat, they make sure that everything is okay, and they say, "Are you having any questions?" A lot of women are like, "No, I'm fine," and they leave. But then, you know, in the back of their mind, they're like, "Oh, you know, I had this pain here, or I had this pain there, or something isn't right." You need to speak up, you know. If something isn't right, you need to speak up so that the doctor can help you. They're humans, you know, they're going through almost a routine. They're humans, and they don't know to probe and ask all of those deep questions sometimes, so you need to speak up and make sure that you tell them what's happening with you.
Yeah, that's why as women, we need to advocate for ourselves.
We definitely need to advocate for ourselves. Again, I always think it's wise to, if you have questions, write them down beforehand, because a lot of times we go in there to those appointments and we forgot what we were trying to ask, you know, because it's just so routine. So write down your questions and then make sure that you ask your provider. And if you feel like your answers aren't good enough, you're always open to seek another opinion. Get your records, go to a different doctor, and make sure that your questions are answered appropriately.
Absolutely. Or if you feel like you need to bring another person to take notes for you, do what you need to do. Whatever way you can get the information that you need to get.
Correct.
So we were chatting about this briefly. The maternal death rate is actually on the rise, surprisingly, in the United States. Have you learned anything about that, or maybe some reasons behind that?
Yes, I think a lot of things, what they're attributing it to is that a lot of women now are having babies, you know, when they're older. So a lot of times they're starting the pregnancy a little bit less healthy. You know, they have chronic conditions like diabetes or hypertension, and that can make, you know, the outcomes a little negative. That's one of the reasons. Also, they're also attributing it to the C-section rate. You know, in the U.S., a lot of people have C-sections at the behest of their doctors. You know, people are doing it on the convenience of people and not the convenience of the baby. They're just not letting it occur naturally.
We did, yeah. I heard that on average there should be about 15% C-sections just, you know, naturally, but it's closer to like 35 or 40%.
Yes, yes, because again, people are having it at their convenience, you know, and by the time you've had 1 or 2 C-sections, you know, there's scar tissue that's in the body, and you know, it makes everything more complicated.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. We have some tips on infant loss support. Where can our viewers purchase your book?
You can go to LianneTotty.com. LianneTotty.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.